Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today's guest is Jonathan Hermida. Jonathan is a leadership and transformational coach who helps founders, executives, and teams access deeper clarity, alignment, and impact. As managing director of the Center for Transformational Coaching, he leads a global learning community devoted to conscious leadership and authentic growth. A three-time founder, Jonathan brings presence, depth, and heart to every engagement. He's also a mentor and speaker, guiding leaders to integrate who they are with how they lead. Welcome, Jonathan.
Beautiful, Don. Thank you. Thank you for the intro.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So let's start by you telling us a little bit about the Center for Transformational Coaching. What do you do and how did you land in this job?
Yeah, we're a coach training organization that supports coaches who are really looking to coach at the deeper end. So you can call it a spectrum of coaching from the more transactional side, which is results oriented. Hey, help me lose X amount of weight, help me get X amount of money, which is needed. I get you, of course. Good, great. Let's do that. And this type of coaching is really for folks that are undergoing a shift in their identity. So it's really supporting that transition from caterpillar to butterfly, that human beings go through when you're really shedding old shit that has accumulated for X, Y, or Z reason. And now you're discovering that something inside of you that's deeper, truer, more resonant is emerging within you. So that's the work that we do. We train coaches to support others that are going through that transformation. A transformation that I myself underwent many years ago, let's call it 15, 17 years ago. That's a whole long story. Happy to share any piece of that. But I ended up running into the center about 12 years ago when my mentor, Leon Vanderpoel, who is the founder of the Center for Transformational Coaching, was a trainer at the Coach Training Institute that I was a student of. And he had just opened the doors to the center. I became a student of his, went through the program, and then 10 years later, he called me and asked me if I wanted to run the organization now, because he wanted to take a step back.
And really quickly about Leon, tell us about what he's known for.
Well, I would say Leon is the pioneer or a pioneer in transformational coaching, and transformational coaching in particular is sort of a often used term that can mean many things for many people. But, the way that we talk about it, which is a shift in one's self-concept, personal concept, he is a pioneer in that regard. He wrote a book, A Shift in Being, created the Deep Coaching Intensive, and basically created the Deep Coaching approach, which is really it's really a beautiful approach. Once you really lean into it and see it, it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It's really about truly deeply connecting with the person in front of you and how to create the right environment in order to do so.
And one of the trends I think that's happening is a lot of people want to be coaches. And it sounds like what you're saying is that in order for you to become a coach, you need to go through basically self-coaching.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people calling themselves coaches, people that aren't even doing what coaching is or is meant to be. The real good coaches are the ones who've really gone through shit, and really have come through the other side of it. And that's really the difference between coaches and therapists. I would say really good coaches versus good therapists. Therapists tend to be more intellectual. Hey, I studied this. I work with people with X, Y, or Z sort of, ailment or whatever it is. Coaches have lived that which they are supporting you through, which is more unique, I would say, way of holding space and a powerful one.
So let's kind of take the gloves off for a second. What is your view about everybody being a coach and kind of like calling themselves that? The concern that I have is that it kind of infiltrates the market and presents a problem for people who need to make a decision about a pretty serious topic in their life and who want to commit to the work. So how does one go choose a coach, and what are some advice you have in that regard?
I feel many ways about this. On the one side, it's great that so many people are looking to help others, if done authentically. On the other side, there's a lot of charlatans, out there, and there's a lot of people who call themselves coaches that are great marketers, but are terrible coaches. And so you got to really be careful sifting through that. But I would argue that capitalism will reign supreme here, in that those that are truly charlatans and are not really providing the type of support and impact that they preach are going to be found out, and folks aren't going to come back to them. And the people that are really authentic and doing real work and supporting others through real, shifts are gonna survive.
So What's like one question somebody can ask before they hire a facilitator or team coach in order to sift between the wheat from the chaff?
Yeah, just I honestly tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. I just start having them speak a little bit so that you get a sense for who they are, where they're coming from, and I think there's people have a high bullshit meter and can sense if somebody's bullshitting them, and so that's the first question to ask, and then from there natural questions are going to emerge that might be more pointed.
One of my favorite questions is also asking, how do you show up? How do you show up to a team? How do you show up as an individual? And I find that open-ended question helps people as well.
Sure, yeah. And why should I hire you as a coach? That's
Right.
what they say.
And the other piece of it is you said, some are good marketers and some are bad coaches. Some are great coaches and bad marketers. How do you get, as somebody who wants to be a facilitator, how do you become a good marketer? Or how do you, because let's assume you're a good coach.
You have to make that as much a focal point as you're making coaching. It's a whole different sphere. It's a whole different paradigm. And so you can't just focus on coaching and your coach skills, your facilitation skills. You really have to focus on the business side and learn the business side, learn finances, learn marketing, learn sales. You have to be a student in that regard and push the places where you feel discomfort and continue to grow.
So let's move to, that's actually a great segue to the Center for Transformational Coaching. And tell me about the programs you have. And specifically, let's start with, do you have a marketing class?
We don't, no, because we really focus, we don't focus. Actually, this year, we're for the first time ever after 12 years, 13 years of being in business, creating a business course, which does include marketing in there.
Great.
It's called Pathway to Purpose. So this is for the first time, and it's only for students or alumni of our program. So, but directly in the program, we're really focused on the actual technique and approach that we teach, the deep coaching approach.
Very cool. And then let's talk about who goes to these. You said it's people who are in shifts in their life. Walk us through some of the demographics, some of the psychographics of who would go to this and why they would show up at your center, besides the fact they're going through a shift.
Yeah, a lot of folks searching for spiritual coaching, for example, might run into us, and because they're looking for something deeper. I think they've run into other coaching approaches, and it doesn't necessarily resonate with them. They see the charlatans out there, like preaching and doing the raw thing, and that doesn't resonate with them. They feel they operate at a slower pace. They're they identify as spiritual, you can say, and thinking about life at a deeper level, and really wanting to support that in others. And so they would run into us and see the language that we're using, see our videos, understand where we're coming from, and see that we're the real deal in that sense. We really care about the individuals that are coming into our programs, the transformations that they're going through, and they're seeking that. So the demographics, we have a lot, and this is true of the coaching market as well, the life coaching market, not the executive coaching market, but a lot of middle-aged women, I would say, is a big predominant market. But we have everybody from all over the world, really. We have facilitators in India and Spain, everywhere. So we actually have quite a reach.
So tell us about the programs you offer and the different classes that one can expect at your center.
Yeah, the flagship program is the Deep Coaching Intensive, and this is the bread and butter, and really the one that it's an intensive for a reason. It's a 6-month program. Really takes you through the foundations of, because a big part of when somebody's going through a transformation is they don't necessarily have the language for it. And so the first part of the program is really giving you the conceptual understanding of what this very real process of transformation is, what it looks like, what you might notice, right? There's this model called the 6 Stages of Power by Janet Hagberg that speaks really powerfully to where we lie on the sort of spectrum of coaching, because so there's powerlessness is sort of stage 0 when somebody's powerless completely, and that's the victim mindset. That's not anybody that's anywhere near coaching. But then you have somebody that's power by association. So these are people that sports teams and countries and anything that you might associate that's outside of yourself. Still not quite somebody that's ready for coaching. Then you have somebody that moves into power by achievement. This is now where coaching becomes a thing, and somebody that because this is somebody that's looking to improve themselves and be better.
That's a shift from lacking power to maybe having some power.
That's right. And so you can see that somebody in this place, this is the bread and butter of executive coaching and business coaching and whatnot. And then you start to shift. You go from power by achievement to power by reflection. This is when these are the folks that start to ask deeper questions. Who am I? What is life about? What is the meaning of life? Is this really fulfilling for me? So this shift, when somebody starts asking those questions, bingo, that is somebody that is ready now for our program and the work that we're doing.
And a quick pause there. Do you test for that?
Well, it's a self filtration system of sorts. Nobody's going to get anywhere near the buy button if this work is not resonant for them. It's clear. You go to our website, you know what we are up to and what we're all about. And so if that's not something that resonates with you, it's not going to.
So what happens after power by achievement?
Power by achievement, power by reflection. That's when somebody's asking.
Power by reflection is what.
And then after that, it's power by purpose. So this is now somebody, okay, so the power by reflection are the people who are going through that transformational journey. They're asking the questions, they're doing the deep work, therapy, plant medicines, etc. Now I've come out the other side. Now I have energy to want to give back, to be of service to the world. This is where the retreat facilitators, the coaches come into the world. Now I want to, be of service to the world. And then the final stage is power by wisdom. These are more of, the sages, the teachers, those that don't have much of that ego to want to sort of, or need to kind of be given back. They're really the Yodas of the world, out there doing their thing.
Where are you on that?
Power by purpose. I mean, every fiber of my being is giving back and putting myself in a position to serve others.
Beautiful. So by the end of the program, what can somebody expect to have? Is it a certificate? Is it something they can show off? What do they get at the end of the program?
Yeah, they're a certified deep transformational coach, and there's actually a pathway for those. So the International Coaching Federation is the biggest governing body in sort of an unregulated field, but it's really the governing body that's doing the best job, I would argue, of really making coaching a thing in the world that has a bit of cachet, and so somebody that wants to have that International Coaching Federation credential can get the necessary units, hours through our program to then, apply for that. So there is a pathway for people that you can kind of get a double credential from our program as well.
Very cool. So let's talk about some of the stars that have come out of your program. Who's somebody that comes to mind besides yourself that would say, you can think about a real kind of success story you're proud of?
Yeah, man. There's so one of the actually we have our partner. I mentioned the business program. This is not something that we created ourselves. There's actually graduates of our program that ended up creating a 7-figure business specifically for nurse coaches, which is a hell of a niche. It's quite an incredible niche, and so they created quite the business model there with that. And they've been applying our work in their own training programs. And now we've created this symbiotic relationship where now they're creating this business program for our coaches to then be able to do the same things that they've been able to do. So that's definitely one of the ones that stand out.
It's powered by entropy.
Yeah, that's right.
Very cool. So let's move to your work and discuss kind of what you do. You mentioned you lead 12 retreats. Are the retreats you're talking about, these retreats for coaches? Is it something else? How do you spend your time other than running the center?
Well, I've led 12 retreats. So it's beyond the retreat. Beyond the center. So I've run retreats in Peru. I've run retreats in California, in Florida, in different places. And the in-person experience is something that I think is irreplaceable. We're getting a group of people together to do intentional work over a set of days. That's really something that you can replicate in life, because it's how often are we able to disconnect from the outside world, from the responsibilities, to really focus and hone in. So that is the power of a retreat. So I love those environments where people are all in and in a beautiful location to do quote unquote the work, whatever the work is, given anybody's different angle. And so what we have created ourselves within the center is now these retreats that we're offering in different places. So we've done it in Bali and Florida, and now we're going to go to Portugal, Lisbon, 45 minutes south of Lisbon. And it's for that intention, to really create a concentrated space over a week of time to do the deep immersive work that supports transformation. This is where folks don't have to think about anything other than their own inner work. So we take care of everything and they just show up.
Does it involve ceremonies?
Everything is a ceremony. There's, so if you mean plant
Plant
ceremonies,
medicine, yeah.
yeah, no, it doesn't include that, but there are many different types of ceremonies. Yeah.
Yeah, and people who are seeking those can find them in different places that allow them or may not allow them, but there are ways to find those if people are seeking that.
Totally.
And let's just dive in a little more into that. Do you find that the folks that go to that where are they on the power scale?
Yeah, they're powered by reflection, powered by purpose, mostly powered by purpose. Our particular demographic, because they're coaches, they're folks that are looking to coach already. So at that point, they are
Are
ready.
they before or after your program, would you say?
Before the program, powered by reflection. After the program, powered by purpose.
So it's
Depends.
open to anybody, not just people who've been through your program, but people.
Oh
who
yeah,
are,
I'm sorry. Yeah, with the retreat, yeah, folks that are outside come into our retreats as well. Yeah, no question.
Is it a funnel for your center?
It has been. Yeah, totally. Yeah, actually, this past retreat, we got a bunch of clients or participants that became clients of the center,
Beautiful.
became participants of the program.
So where do you see the center going in the future? You've been there for more than a decade. What's your vision for it going forward?
I really think we are optimally positioned for the disruption that is coming right now. Because as people get displaced from their jobs, as AI takes over, more and more people are going to be asking, who am I? What is my life about? What the hell? If I'm not my job, what am I and who am I? And so they're going to need a space to really navigate what this new transformation in their life is pushing them towards. And so I'm really excited, not for the pain that's going to come, because that's just an inevitability, but we're meeting the moment with in the best possible way to be able to create a soft landing, as soft a landing for folks as one can possibly create. At least for those that are ready for that.
So it sounds like some of the trends you're talking about is people moving to be maybe self-employed, maybe looking for what happens if they're displaced or they fear displacement or they are going through that that next stage. What are some other trends you're seeing in the industry in terms of facilitation, and how do they take the one-on-one work to move towards facilitating groups?
Well, what's interesting is some of the trends are a lot of people are using AI for one-on-one coaching, truthfully. So that's definitely a trend. More of that is being used. So that's going to disrupt the industry. But having said that, more and more people, as a result, are seeking in-person experiences, that human connection, human touch. People are behind a screen most of the days, regardless of the work you do, and we're craving that human connection that only these in-person experiences can create.
It's interesting. I've interviewed other facilitators and talked to many of them. Our facilitator directory now has over 30 facilitators. And one of the things I've observed is many of them told me they do things over Zoom, and I've been surprised to hear that.
Well, that's just simplifying. If not, you can't have everybody in person all the time, so there's going to be gaps in times between retreats, and so it makes sense that you're going to create spaces where you can still connect virtually. But overall, in addition to what I just mentioned, I think the trend is going towards community. I think that is the key word, community. People are
of coaches, or
no, your people, whatever your people is. The trend overall is people are seeking community, and they're not necessarily finding it where they live, and so sometimes it requires travel to meet those people that you're maybe connecting with online, virtually, in virtual group trainings, etc.
Let's jump back to the AI topic. I'm fascinated by that. How are people using AI in terms of coaching and maybe group facilitation, if that's a thing?
I don't know about group facilitation, but coaching, I mean, all sorts of things. Even I ask it questions around, nutrition, fitness, even, helping me think through a conversation that I need to have, and so it just provides some ideas and some resources. So I do know that the folks that are running these AI organizations are somewhat concerned, because it's not just coaching. People are using it as a therapist, and there are concerns about what sort of feedback advice is being given by the AI, and so there are concerns there. And also from a privacy standpoint, folks do need to be careful because there is no sort of therapist client privilege. This is, if somebody wanted to look into your chat, they can. So one needs to be careful with that. But people are using it in that regard, very
It's
intimately.
interesting. I recently asked AI, "What's my consciousness level?" And it lied to me. It
Oh, for
absolutely
sure.
lied to
Yeah,
me. It
yeah, yeah.
said I'm like enlightened, and I'm like I'm not even close. Um, and the reason
It's a
it
brown
uses
noser. It's a brown noser.
right, totally, totally. And the reason it says, well, you've been asking me questions, so you must be, at a high consciousness level. And
That's
I'm
right.
like, that's what I'm supposed to do. So I don't recommend that question, although it's fun to see what it thinks. And then you can obviously push it and be like, be real with me.
Having said that, I always think this is going to be the worst it's ever going to be.
Say more.
The version that we're getting right now is the absolute worst it's going to be. So it's only going to get exponentially better, and it's going to refine. So some people make assumptions like, oh, look how shit it is. It's never going to replace X, Y, or Z, whatever that X, Y, or Z thing is. But the truth is, this is the worst it's going to ever going to be. It's only going to get better. So
Totally.
one needs to be aware of that and and recognize that it's going to get more refined. Where it could be like, well, you're definitely not enlightened, Don, but you are da 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 da.
So it's interesting because I was just thinking about what if AI was part of the retreat?
Well, as a tool, it can
Right,
be.
right, right. Just sitting there and kind of taking notes or making
Yeah,
observations,
sure.
being being a co-facilitator.
Yeah, and even assessing needs in the intake. Hey, fill out these
Right.
things, and then it can kind of
Intentions.
spit back out, a pretty decent understanding of who you are, what you need during the retreat, etc. So
So, you said community earlier, and I'm wondering what kind of communities are you seeing popping up other than the ones you create at the center?
a lot of spiritual communities of all sorts, folks just getting together and what I do. It's interesting. I was watching. I'm a big fan of Dune. I don't know if you're familiar with Dune, and so
Of course.
yeah. So I feel like there's going to be a trend that's going to happen. Is there's some people that are going to go all in on AI and just be these sort of technocrats and just like just immerse themselves in the world, and other people that are just going to live,
Yeah,
just
kind of
like
very
cave
diverging
people,
paths.
like out in the wilderness. So there's a lot of that happening. In Miami, I live in Miami, and you see a lot of these groups coming together and trying to organize beach days and yoga mornings and just hangouts.
I struggle in joining those.
I do too, to a degree. I have a lone wolf tendency in that regard, even though I also feel like I have my community and whatnot, so I feel pretty satiated in that regard. So
Yeah, yeah. So, how do you show up at retreats that you facilitate?
present, as present as I possibly can be, because that's really the only ingredient that's needed. If one trusts oneself, one trusts the environment. That's why the environment is so important. By the way, the actual center, the space, so that one doesn't have to think about anything other than being fully present. There's no
Mm,
concern. There's no who's going to text
mm.
me. Where do I get my food? Is there going to be AC in my room? If every question is answered and one only needs to be there, that's the biggest gift we can give ourselves and we can give others. And so, in that regard, presence is all that's needed, and then spontaneity can emerge from the spaces that are cultivated.
So, tell me a little bit about how your retreats are structured.
A lot of flow. Funny enough, our ideal retreat at the center, and we're never going to market it this way right away. But as we get bigger and folks trust us in this way, it's a bit like an omakase experience that you would go to, where you don't know what the chef is going to put out, but you trust that they're going to put out something great and incredible, because there is something about once you understand who the people are that are coming into the experience and allowing that, it takes a lot of trust, self-trust, and trust in the group and everything. But there is a natural emergence of what needs to happen in the group. And that's a big part of our work, is sensing into what's wanting to happen in any given moment for ourselves, but also collectively. So yeah, we have activities, we have agendas of sorts, and there's also a lot of wiggle room for spontaneity and shifting and meeting the group where they are.
So, as we look to wrap up here, what are some questions I haven't asked you or what is it one question I haven't asked you that you'd like to share, if any?
I don't know. I'm curious, where do you see, you've been having, this is, I don't know how many conversations you've had, but where are you seeing the trends with the retreats going?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Most of the people I talk to have kind of something they come with. They don't necessarily aren't present. They're not going with the flow, and that they have some sort of IP that they introduce. Most people are willing to share that IP. A few are not,
Yeah.
but they do have a style that they create a space that they're familiar with.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And I think a lot of people create IPs for more marketing purposes than,
Right.
because the ingredients of what's needed to create a transformational experience is quite universal. And so there's not going to be anything, out of this world per se. Sometimes there's activities and things that create really powerful experiences. Plant medicine speaks for itself. If you create that, obviously, you're going to have an elevated experience. But yeah, that's cool. Nice.
I also have observed that people want the retreat facility to take care of everything, which is why we do what we do.
Totally.
We give a menu and they can choose whatever they want. And one of the core beliefs that I have is that people want to create memories themselves. And if you become the hub for memory creation and experience creation, then you're creating something special for folks because they don't have that as much as they used to.
Yeah.
So having a space where memories are created seems to be very important to participants.
It create man this past retreat that we had in Florida, it is every single person mentioned it's just going to stay with all of us forever, because when you create such an elevated experience of love, of community, of connection, where you're really able to be your free self without inhibition, and then everything else around it, so there was a beautiful location, the staff was incredible, it leaves an indelible mark. And so for you as a sort of a retreat curator, retreat space curator, that's so important, right? To have the environment be not get in the way, but also be additive, just so that people are like, wow, that
100%.
that was just like, wow, mind blown. That room was incredible. That food, oh my God, that chef, that just helps to create that vibrancy. That
Totally.
that will stick with people forever.
And the other thing I've observed is that the combination of both Eastern and Western. I think
Yeah,
too much Eastern is a bit of eye
that's right.
rolly. Too much Western is a bit rigid. So
Yeah.
finding the middle ground. Another thing I've observed is a lot of retreat facilitators are showing up more and more vulnerable as participants.
That's right. That's a ethos of mine. I will never not be fully in it with you. That's ridiculous to ask you to share in a way, and I'm not sharing. So I think the best facilitators are purely vulnerable, share without question, without thinking about it. You know, and yeah.
Well, very cool. How can people find you? How can people find the center and learn more?
Yeah. So me personally, Jonathan Hermida. You can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, wherever. The Center for Transformational Coaching.com is where you can find the center and our work. And then from there, you can offshoot and see our program, our retreats, all that stuff.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, it was a wonderful conversation. I appreciate your time.
Don, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.